We saw the second GOP debate last night, and it was not glorious. There was a strange exchange, though, and Chris Christie, of course, is there just to lob comical, almost cartoonish bombs at things. So he throws something out, and then Mike Pence tries to be funny. Oh, no, it did not go well. In fact, I was left sort of retching.
When you have the President of the United States sleeping with a member of the teachers union, there is no chance that you could take the stranglehold away from the teachers union every day.
My wife isn't a member of the teachers union, but I got to admit I've been sleeping with a teacher for 38 years. And full disclosure.
Listen, I just wanted to say I, too, have some of the sex. I have a girlfriend. She lives in Canada, and I too do it. I've been known to get it on many, many times in a month. Ryan Binkley is a U.S. presidential candidate. He's a business owner and a pastor. And actually, Ryan, I was reading, you've got the donors to be a part of these debates. It's just trying to get those polling numbers up, which means more media access, I suppose, right?
That's correct. We absolutely need more media access. But, hey, I just love your conversation so far, and I think you're highlighting one of the key rules of politics. And if you're not funny, don't try and be funny, right? Be yourself. That last night was a barrage of a lot of bad jokes and a lot of bad plays. But thanks for having me here. It's great to be with you, and I'm so glad to be back in Texas. You know, many people, a lot of our listeners here don't know who I am yet and are wondering who's this Texas candidate running for president of the United States. And I'm doing that. And I'm out there mainly in New Hampshire, grassroots, in Iowa, going to county after county. We did miss the debates by a narrow margin. We got the donors in, but we're still shouting our message that it's really time that we, make some sense of where we are financially. We've got, doom setting up. Really, our country is in really bad shape. And what I'm telling America is there's a perfect storm coming that we're not ready for financially, and that's my background expertise. So thanks for having me. We're sharing it all the more.
Yeah. So Ryan, how are you making inroads in New Hampshire and other places where you're trying to get some of the attention? It's kind of tough, right? I mean, even some people who have got a longer, more notable history, and I don't want to sound like I don't want to be offensive, Ryan.
No,
but I'm thinking of somebody like Asa Hutchinson, who is a sitting governor right now, can't even get enough attention to end up on that stage. So this is really an uphill battle for you. So what are you doing then?
Wow. So, you're so right. And so right now, my polling is right up there, really, except for this last poll Doug Burgum had. But I had the same polling as really Mike Pence in Iowa, a few others in Iowa. Nationally, just 1%, a little bit over that sometimes in certain states. But, the reality is this. I've got to keep sharing the main message that everybody's telling me, because last night we watched this debate. I mean, who had a vision for our country to unite our country to solve big issues? And no one really clarified a compelling vision of why they should be elected over the incumbent, President Trump, I would call it, in our party. So this is what I'm sharing. I'm really pounding 4 key areas. This area of expertise financially is what my background is. I'm a CEO of a merger and acquisition company. We're based right in Richardson, but we are a national firm and in Canada. And I'm also a pastor, so I see culturally how broken we are. And we're really at this place that if we continue on this course of division that we've been at really for 20 years, that President Trump added to it, Joe Biden's added to it, we're not going to accomplish anything significant. And you know who's going to hurt? Your kids, my kids, our grandkids of the future. This next generation coming up, they're the one that's set up for the big failure, and we owe it to them to do a better job, to get it together financially and actually work on big problems like the border and like health care, big issues today, so we can solve them for our future.
Ryan Binkley is a presidential candidate. He's also a business owner and pastor, as he just mentioned. And Ryan, looking at the debate last night, how would you have done things differently? And I mean, as a candidate, not as a moderator, because I think we all agree the moderators sucked. But how would you have done things differently if you were on that stage, especially when so many people seemed hell-bent on just attacking one another for precious seconds of airtime?
Right now, the main topic, was mentioned a lot, but with no real plan on what to do about it. So the main topic's inflation. it's killing everybody really financially. So I've talked to everybody. Their rents are up double from where they were 2 years ago. Everywhere all over the United States, gas is up 30%. The inflation numbers of 15% is garbage. It's really 20 and 30%, and I think we all really know it. And so I would talk about, hey, here's my plan to do something about inflation. And it's more than just, stop spending so much money. You have to have a plan to do so. And you have to have a leadership plan. And we actually took the time to do it. So I'm the only candidate that's put together a 7-year plan to balance the budget that's not actually too onerous, because what it does is still save Social Security. It cuts many things in Medicare and Medicaid by freezing certain things, but it cuts non-defense discretionary spending by 2%, and it actually gets rid of some wasteful things. But we actually have a plan to do it. And so I would talk about how America can still grow with a pro-growth tax policy, and like we have in the past, but we can really navigate through this. And nobody does that. They just throw bombs at each other, and we have to communicate clearly to America how we're going to navigate through a storm. Like if I'm on a cruise ship and we're on a storm, I want a captain that's going to navigate us through, and nobody did that well last night, and that's what I would have tried to done last night.
Yeah, and listen, I love what you're saying. I just see what goes on there on that stage, and I'm just waiting for that leader to emerge when it just looks like a bunch of kids on a playground kicking dirt at each other to see who is going to emerge the least dirty at the end of kicking dirt on one another.
That's right. Who's got the dirtiest dress at the prom, right? So, or the cleanest, dirtiest dress. Maybe that's it. So, we are keep sharing this message. We've also put together a health care plan. We're going to launch it here in about 9 days in Cleveland. I think on October 9th, we're setting the date. We've got a real plan to demonopolize the health insurance exchanges. They're really crippling our country financially in health care. Because you may know this, healthcare inflation is a big part of our budget with Medicare and Medicaid, and it is 40% of our budget nationally as a nation. But more than that, it is 40% higher inflation than regular inflation. And who's paying for that is private insurers. So we have a plan to really demonopolize the healthcare, also take the big power away from big pharma, and let us compete on the world stage. Because right now we're subsidizing the globe in pharmaceutical care. So we're putting together some real solutions for that. We actually have a funding solution for the border. I think many people in Texas are tired of this nonsense happening where nobody's coming together with a real solution for the border. So we have that. And people can go to Binkley2024.com. I really appreciate you having me because I need support. We're going to keep sharing this message. Our goal is to keep on going. We'd like to make that next debate stage. And even a small dollar donation, we've had all the donors, but I think they're increasing it now. So we need under 10,000 donors. So maybe some of your listeners can give $1 or $2 and help us get there. That'd be great.
All right. Website one more time here.
It's Binkley2024.com. And I think just really remember this. America needs a spiritual revival as well. Our country is so broken financially, but we're really more broken spiritually. And I think if many of you are seeing, we need a new day where we're turning back to God and each other, that's the message I want to get across to everybody here in Texas, that I'm out there, I'm in New Hampshire, I'm in Iowa, I'm going to Nevada soon, and we're sharing that America needs to turn back to God and each other, and let's see the greatest days of America ahead of us.
Ryan Binkley, presidential candidate, business owner, pastor. Pleasure having you on the program, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.